Good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Same Old Arsenal. It's another Pods preview, and we're going to be talking about Arsenal versus Everton. And as you can see, I have some amazing guests with me. First of all, we have James joining us tonight. Everton fan James. James, how are you, mate?
I'm fantastic, mate. It's really pleased to be coming on the show with you guys, and nice to get a bit of insight, something other than take the blue tinted specs off, maybe.
Oh, mate, absolutely. That's nice. That's nice. Obviously, we've got a real special guest with us tonight, me. So you'll be really happy that you're on with me, mate. Of course.
Also,
love it, Dan. Love it, Dan.
Love it, mate. Love it. Gotta get it in there quick.
Oh, he's going to introduce me for a second there.
Lee, always going to introduce you next, mate. My colleague from the Same Old Arsenal, the legend that is Lee Judges. How are you, mate?
Oh, good. Like, I've had a good couple of days. So
I'll bet you have, mate. And you still got the glasses, mate. You're not going to take them off yet, are you?
No, they're lucky glasses at the moment, So after Sunday, they're staying firmly on me on Sunday. I tell you that, So
good stuff. And of course, a guy who needs no introduction. It's Super Kevin Campbell, mate. How are you?
Dan, I'm great. Lee, James, great to be on with all of you.
It's great. I'm really looking forward to it, man. I'm really glad that you can come on for this one. I really am. So we are going to start with Everton. And Kevin, I'm going to start with you because we were talking just off air about the fact that we both got a new manager at the same time. And I remember speaking to you a few months ago, Kevin, and you said that Arsenal would be interested in somebody like Allegri or an Ancelotti. Everton got their man. You look at the form table. What has he been doing? Because he's changed that club around, hasn't he?
Well, I think I've got to give credit to Big Dunk first.
Definitely.
When he took over, Everton were languishing, weren't they? They were in trouble. But he made a move which I thought was really smart. He changed the system from 4-3-3 to 4-4-2. And he put Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison up. They had Chelsea at home. And he went 4-4-2. And they put more tackles in than they have done in 10 years. The front two went crazy on that Chelsea back four. They beat them 3-1. But most importantly, they got the fan base involved as well. That 12th man at Goodison, we all know what it's like at Goodison once that crowd get up. They started to play a factor. And that pushed the team on. There's been some hiccups along the way. Don't let's have it right. Newcastle at home, winning 2-0, and then relinquishing that, with 2 injury time goals. But the way Ancelotti dealt with that after the game will give the players some confidence because he's been there, seen it, done it. And then you get onto Everton away at Watford, where Theo Walcott goes and scores the winner. That don't happen if the manager isn't tuned in. So he's been there, seen it, done it. For finally, Everton have got a manager who nobody can question. So it's going to be down to the players now. And I think he's making a significant difference to this Everton squad right now.
Yeah, I think James, got to come to you because the Everton fans must be delighted with the form table. You look at Liverpool, who are your rivals, but they've been so good this season. It's only them.
That word on this show.
No, sorry, mate. It's an Arsenal podcast, so I have to say it, unfortunately, sometimes. But listen, they on the form table, they are top. But it is you boys in second place. I was actually quite jealous of the appointment. Obviously, when we got Mikel Arteta, which we'll talk about in a minute, I wasn't totally disappointed. But for me, I did want Carlo Ancelotti. What are the Everton fans thinking of this?
Well, they absolutely adore him. I think he's, like you say, I think like Kev says before, it's really won the fan base over. I think there's always been a bit of division within the fan base, whether they approve of certain managers we've brought in the past. It's absolutely unanimous with Carlo Ancelotti that he's like I say, he's almost worshipped by the fans since he come in. And like you say, that translates onto the players. Now the players have to perform because the fans aren't going to turn on Carlo. They're going to turn on the players first. And in fairness to the players, they've really stepped it up since he came in.
Yeah, I think that. And listen, like I look at Everton to start with Marco Silva, and I thought to myself, wow, they could even be in trouble. There was talks. I never expected it, but there was talks that you could be fighting for relegation, and a right move was made, and Ancelotti's come in. Lee, what are we expecting on Sunday from this Everton side then, now that Ancelotti's taken over? It's going to be a tough game, isn't it, Lee?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game. I see Claude's been positive again, like, you know what I mean? Like, Calvin Lewis is going to cause us all sorts of. He just don't stop, does he? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, after a clean sheet, Mustafi will have him all over on toast. You know what I mean? Simple as that, like, you know, old Simon. But
you're optimistic, Lee. You're optimistic,
yeah,
mate.
yeah. No, like, listen, I'm gonna be honest. When Everton. When Ferguson came in, I was jealous that day to see how he got the fans up and made them all a part of it and everything like that. It was fantastic. And I said
Great
after
to see.
five,
Great to
it was
see.
great to see. After 5 minutes of that game, watching it, I said, whatever happens in this game here, Everton are not going to lose this game. Regardless of whatever happened, they was never ever going to lose that game, and that was down to the manager. And sometimes a manager coming in can just give you a great big lift. And I honestly think that Duncan Ferguson done that for Everton. He given this massive lift, and then great performance at Manchester United as well. And when he was standing there in the soaking rain, it was just all theatre and all good things that you want to see from a manager. And and what happens is Ancelotti's come in and just levelled it out and kept it all going. So all credit to them. And that's something that we've wanted to see. But I feel that with Arteta, he's done exactly the same. So, I was very surprised when I just seen that today, that Everton are the second best team in the league at this on current form at the moment. And, through Kevin and that, obviously I'll get a few of the old Everton people now wanting to chat to me and all that. And I had a couple of them coming.
Gloat alert.
Coming down. I don't mind Everton. I've got a little soft spot for Everton. And a few of them are coming down.
Likewise.
And they're honestly, they're coming down and they're thinking that they can get something from the Emirates. They really are. You know what I mean? They're looking forward to coming down. They feel that they've got a chance, and this moment in time, they're well pleased with what's going on there. And also, which is a good point that a couple of them were making the other day, is that if they actually beat us on Sunday, the Champions League spots are not out of this question for them, so it's a big game for both teams. I think if we win it, then it keeps us in maybe an outside chance like Everton, but if one of them loses, whoever loses, I think then probably the Champions League spots are going to be gained. But that's how things have turned around from being in the well down. I think
we were in the bottom,
fifth from bottom.
Bottom three.
Was it bottom three when he took over? So now talking about coming to the Emirates and fancying their chances. They're looking forward to it, and who can blame them?
I have to agree. And I said after Dubai, me and Lee were talking about the fixtures. In terms of our home fixtures, we've got the West Ham's coming up. We had Newcastle. I looked at that Everton game and I thought that ain't going to be an easy one. That really ain't. James, just coming back to you quickly. What, in terms of from an Everton's fan point of view, what is it about Carlo Ancelotti in terms of some of the players that he's improved? Because some of your players have really stepped it up. Kevin mentioned DCL. Obviously, Theo Walcott was mentioned. Richarlison's still looking good. What is it that he seems to have done? He seems to have stalled a lot of confidence, in my opinion.
I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin himself actually spoke out and said something about how he's made him feel 10 feet tall. And I'm not entirely sure what it is he does exactly, but he's written a book called, I can't actually remember what the book's called, but it's about how his approach to management's very, sort of a human approach.
Calm and quiet.
Very calm. Yeah. That's exactly what, I think that's what it's called, actually. But he takes a very relaxed approach and he treats his players like human beings. I think maybe tries to relieve the pressure. And I think that's been a big problem at Everton over the last couple of years, is maybe trying to handle the pressure, particularly since the takeover when the expectations have gone through the roof. I think there's been a lot of pressure on the players, and maybe the players that we've had haven't really handled it very well. But I think maybe having Carlo in there, a calming influence, I think maybe he's just relieved that pressure and allowed the players to enjoy the football a bit more.
Yeah, I think. Listen, I've been really impressed with some of the players. Kevin, who's going to cause us a threat on Sunday in player-wise from Everton? Do you think? Who have we got to watch out for?
I think you have to look out for the front two, Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. I think if they play as a tandem, which I think they will, both of them are good in the air. Both of them could run in behind. Both of them are good at holding the ball, and both of them could dribble. So, again, Arsenal's back four don't usually play against a front two. Whenever they play against a front two, like Burnley, for instance, Burnley caused us all sorts of problems. And these two are a lot more mobile than, Burnley's front two. So I think it's Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison who are going to cause us the most hassle. There's a rumour that Gomez might even be involved on the bench or something. That is a massive fillip to Everton because he's
great player.
He's a real player.
Cracking player.
I like Bernard as well. He can pick a pass. Walcott's been showing some signs of life, hasn't he? With a
he's really picked up.
Bernard the other day. So it seems like Everton's front two and the two wide players who can come inside and go outside, they're going to be carrying the biggest threat on Sunday.
I think
I have to agree.
It's worth noting, actually, though, that Walcott might miss the game. I think he went off injured against Crystal Palace, so whether he's back in time, I'm not too sure. But I think you probably wouldn't have said this a couple of months ago, but he's actually would be a big loss to not have him in the team because he's been in really good form the last couple of weeks.
It's always annoying with Theo, though, isn't it? Because I think he's been playing really well the last few games. And I'm going to be honest, I love seeing him playing well because I was, a big favourite of his. I know that, but injuries have always been the thing for him. I think if it weren't for injuries, he would have kicked on at Arsenal more than what he did. And soon as he sort of hits form at Everton, lovely ball for the goal in the last game, and then 2 minutes later he gets injured and has to go off, and it's so frustrating from that against Palace, wasn't it? So frustrating for him that he just doesn't seem to have that when he's in top form. Do you remember when he played against Spurs and he scored? He played really well that day up front. He's playing well, and then he done his crucial FA Cup game. He was in a real good run of form, and then he gets injured. When he just hits form, he gets injured, and it's just a shame, really, that he just never quite gone for him on that sort of front line. And I'm going to be honest. I'm pleased if he's not playing because his pace and I think his direct as well will cause us problems.
I think as well, Lee, we talk about players coming back against Arsenal. For me, I wouldn't mind seeing both Alex Iwobi and Theo Walcott doing well because they were players that I did respect and liked at the club. And okay, they might not have always been fantastic, but they always looked like they give 110% and really cared. Would you agree with that, Lee?
Yeah, I don't want them. I don't really like them play. I don't like it when Everton, ex-Arsenal players play for Everton and they come back and score goals against us and things like that. I don't like it. You know what I mean? So we don't want it. So and then celebrate as well. Can you believe that? Like, you know what I mean? So
whoever are you talking about?
But I think. Listen, I think Iwobi is a hit and miss sort of a player. 1 minute he can do really good things, and it'd be typical for him to come back and play well against us. So I think he's fit now, isn't he? Because he was on the bench in the last game, didn't come on. I think maybe he'll come. I just don't like it when players like Iwobi are coming back. I don't like it when ex-players come back because they always got that fear that you can hurt you, and he's
Lee,
one of them.
Lee, one thing I will say about Iwobi is everybody knows he's got the ability because he has got ability. It's just there's been a lack of development kind of in his game. I think Carlo Ancelotti can help him develop. I really do, because that calming influence that Arsene Wenger had that's what Carlo Ancelotti's got. But he's more of a perennial winner. He's won Champions League with multiple teams, etc. He knows exactly what he wants. I think he will bring Alex Iwobi on. Theo Walcott he was playing well, but obviously he's injured at the minute. So it might be a straight swap. Alex Iwobi might come in for Theo Walcott.
Do you think, Kevin, as well? I mean, a lot of the James, I don't know your opinion on this, but a lot of the Everton fans have got frustrated with Sigurdsson. Do you think, Kevin, that Iwobi could play in that number 10 role if Ancelotti was to train him up in there? Do you think he's got the ability to play behind the striker?
100%. I think that's his probably his best position, because he's involved all the time in that position. And one thing he's not afraid of, he's not afraid to make a mistake there. If you're going to be a number 10, you've got to try and feed people and open things up, and you have to take risks. If there's one player in the team, this must be the number 10 who take risks. And he's not afraid to make the mistake, but, it's risk and reward. He takes the risk, then Everton will get the reward, especially if you've got players up front like Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. He can play just in behind them and feed them.
Any situation I'm thinking maybe is that we don't really use a number 10 in the 4-4-2 system, in the sense that we seem to have two more defensive-minded midfielders and perhaps maybe wide attacking midfielders, so maybe Iwobi could come in off the left and influence matters a bit more like that.
Well, James, if you watch the games, Carlo Ancelotti's system is Bernard, who plays on the left, drifts right inside.
It's a brilliant little system.
Into a pocket where he can't be picked up. And when he picks the ball up, then he's trying to probe. And the same could happen if Alex Iwobi plays on the right-hand side. He will drift inside to where defenders can't pick him up. So once he gets the ball on the half turn, then you're at the mercy. He could pick a pass. So, you know, Carlo Ancelotti knows exactly what he's doing. He's done it at Napoli very well. And I think he's got the personnel to really expose that if Arsenal don't defend properly.
Could a sort of narrow 4-4-2 perhaps be the making of Iwobi?
I think so. Listen, I definitely think so. I think Carlo Ancelotti looks at the players he's got and he devises the system accordingly. No, it's not like this is the system I play and you've got to fit in. No, he devises the system. And if Alex Iwobi's a ball player, he's got to get on the ball. It's no point in being a runner if he's a ball player. So where can we get him the ball? Where can we get Bernard the ball? Both of them are ball players. They're not going to go on the outside like a Theo Walcott and beat people on the outside and put crosses in. That's not what they do. But they'll come inside. The fullback can go on the outside, and they're difficult to pick up so they can get the ball and make some play.
Fair one. James, before we move away from Everton and start talking about Arsenal, I just wanted to get an update on your team news. What is the team going to be this Sunday, do you think?
It's looking very likely to be unchanged, save for maybe Theo Walcott. So it could either be Iwobi comes back as that right midfielder, or maybe, as it's been very common since Ancelotti come in, that Djibril Sidibe plays a bit further forward as a right winger. But other than that, I can't see any reason to change anyone else. Maybe Andre Gomez comes back in, but I personally wouldn't risk him. I'd just stick with exactly what we had in the Palace game. That served us quite well. It's really a case of who plays on that right-hand side and who's maybe best equipped to trouble Arsenal's fullbacks.
James, do you think he might go Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Moise Kean and Richarlison wide?
Now, that's a very interesting idea. If he does that, that could be a real game changer because Moise Kean's incredibly dynamic, probably more so than even Alex Iwobi, which is saying something, I think. I mean, for all Iwobi's flaws, he's a very dynamic player. If Richarlison is willing to put a shift in on the right-hand side, which he did, to be fair, for Marco Silva last season, and Bernard on the left, and those two up front, that's a really, really threatening front four.
Powerful front
four. Do you know what? I'm hoping that because I felt that against Palace, watching that game, that Ancelotti got a little bit lucky because they was dominating when Walcott was on the pitch, and then he went a little bit defensive and bringing on the right back there, and they lost control. And Palace got an equaliser, had a few good chances, and then if it wasn't for the bit of magic from Richarlison, they went and won the game. So I think that if Ancelotti goes a bit defensive against us, like with that move, I think that will play into our hands a little bit. But I think if they just what you guys are saying there, if they go for that more attacking look and get at our back foot, I think we could have problems. So I think I'm hoping Ancelotti will have that Italian mind set of being a little bit defensive. But
yeah, you know, I'm very much an advocate of attack being the best form of defense.
But didn't you think that against Crystal Palace? I thought that he could have gone with Iwobi and he went more defensive, and they lost a little bit against Palace there. So I think that that's what I'm hoping anyway. So I don't want really attacking.
Obviously, hope the opposite.
Because even Newcastle attacked us down the flanks in the first half, and let's face it, Everton have got a little bit more about them firepower wise up front, and if that happens, we might not be as lucky. So I'm hoping that Ancelotti does go defensive. Come on, Ancelotti, go defensive.
Go defensive. Just 1 to 11 quickly, James. Just run us through what you think the team will be, because I, for one, didn't know what the team was against Palace, so I don't think some of our viewers will.
So we'll go with Jordan Pickford between the sticks. There's not really any other option, even though he hasn't been in the best of form. Seamus Coleman, right back. I'm assuming that'll probably be the case, even if Djibril Sidibe plays in front. Lucas Ian, left back. Yerry Mina, Mason Holgate, centre backs. I'm going to say it'll be Schneiderlin and Gylfi Sigurdsson again in central midfield. I don't think he'll rush Andre Gomez back straight into the starting 11. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to say they're going to go with Iwobi on the right-hand side, Bernard on the left, Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin up top. Just a quick one on Dominic Calvert-Lewin. What's your take on him before we move on to Arsenal?
Yeah, listen, I'm a massive fan of this lad. I think I think it was Lee said Duncan Ferguson was a massive start to him, because I think that he had a lot of faith in him, and obviously since that day that Ancelotti's come in, it's kind of must have had a word of him and said this lad's got bags of potential. I think he's the kind of old school centre forward. He can hold the ball up. He knows where the goal is. Good in the air. Yeah, I think he needs a little bit more confidence and perhaps an arm around the shoulder at times, but a hell of a future. What do you think, Kevin?
I think it was the Everton Arsenal game last season. I was doing pit side, and I interviewed him after the game, and I said to him, you do so much great work outside the box. I said, but you've got to get inside the box. If you're a striker, you can't be there watching balls go in the box. And obviously, he's a converted winger because he played wing at the start, but he found it difficult probably playing with one up top.
Yeah.
To understand what was going on. Roll on Duncan Ferguson taking over and making that change and putting two up front. Now, all of a sudden, you can take it in turns with your strike partner. One setting the play while you can get in the box. I think, the Burnley goal when on Boxing Day was the perfect example. So they'd be put the cross in, and Calvert-Lewin was just running free in the box to get a glancing header right into the corner, 1-0. So he's learning his trade, and he's a confident lad. He looks confident now. He's happy with what's going on. He's got a manager who believes in him. So he's gonna give Arsenal as much trouble as they get.
I mean, I'd say he's probably the best English striker we've had since Kevin Campbell.
Like it, James. Like it.
James, that'll get you far, my man. That'll get
you saying all the right things now.
Definitely, he'll be back on this show come next season.
There you go, mate. You will indeed. I'm going to go around before we move on to Arsenal. I'm going to ask myself, Lee, and Kevin. I'm going to go first with one Everton player that I'd love to slot in an Arsenal shirt if I could, and I'm going to start with Andre Gomez. I know he's injured. I just think the guy's got bags of potential in that midfield and seems to be able to control a game of football. He is one of the puppet master pulling the strings. Lee, anybody else that you'd have over Andre Gomez in an Arsenal shirt that plays for Everton?
Yeah, Mina. I like him.
Okay. Yeah, centre off. Yeah,
big centre, big strong, good at set pieces, getting better and better as I think he came into the team last season. I think that weren't quite fit. It took him a while to settle in and get steady. But I like a big, powerful centre half, something we've not had for a very, very long while. I've been impressed with him, and he seems to be getting better as the season goes on.
I'll have to agree with Dan. I think Gomez. When he came in last season, he was sensational, and his game management, his play, short, long. He can control games. He could run beyond. He can do it all. He really can. He'll be one addition, I'd say, for Arsenal. That would be sensational.
Yeah, I think he'd walk into our team. I really do. Moving on to us boys then, because it was a great weekend on a great game on Sunday. Finally a win and a real good performance. Kevin, what did you make of Sunday's game, and do you think that we can continue onto this now against Everton?
I think this is typical Arsenal, what was Sunday. Started off like they were still in Dubai, on the plane. A bit disjointed. Certain players didn't really look interested. There was no real snap in the play, no real energy. And Newcastle give us as much hassle as we could get. They were running through our midfield again, which I'm sure Mikel Arteta would have been pulling his hair out about. Almiron and those guys were just running wild. They had a few chances in the first half as well, which we had to defend properly or bad finishing, and then they get in at half time. And this is one thing about Mikel Arteta which I'm very impressed with. He speaks to the team and he adjusts, and then the team come out a different team. The team come out with a lot more energy. They actually shut the other opposition down and not let them out, and they keep winning the ball back. And once you can do that, then you start getting on top in the game. And then our talisman, Aubameyang, steps up. Great cross, great finish. And then our new young talisman, Saka, produces a fantastic bit of skill down the left-hand side. Little whoops, nutmeg. And he picks out Pepe, who is starting to show signs of life now, isn't he, Pepe? He's looking like he fancies this now. So you go 2-0 up, and then obviously you get the two late goals, Ozil and Lacazette. Great to see Lacazette score. But, Arsenal are they're like Jekyll and Hyde. You just don't know what team's going to turn up. If that team turn up in the first half against Everton, we are going to be finding ourselves 1 or 2 goals down. I'm telling you. Because
Definitely.
they're not going to be as kind as Newcastle are.
Yeah, listen, it's one of those things that's frustrating, very inconsistent, to be honest. I need Nigel in the chat, by the way, because there's some troll in here that's putting loads and loads of stuff on, but I haven't got Nigel, so unfortunately that's going to happen. Anyway,
let it go.
Where's Nigel? That's what you should be saying.
Yeah.
Where's Nigel?
He's got a night off, hasn't he?
Oh no, he's got a night off, unfortunately. So they'll just have to keep going until they get bored. Anyway, Arsenal, Lee. In terms of our team, we've obviously got a game on Thursday night. Now, it looked to me like there was a bit of rotation on Sunday. We were a little bit surprised, perhaps, that Nketiah was coming in and that Torreira was dropped and that Ceballos came in and Ozil was still in the team. We don't know what the team's going to be on Thursday night, and we're hoping for an Arsenal win, but we are here to talk about Everton. Do you think that he will take Thursday night more serious than Sunday night?
Well, yeah, I like to think so. I think that I think he's got to take both games serious. If I'll be honest, I think that we've got no Mesut Ozil because he's got a night off, and because his wife's back to June, which is the right thing to do. You know what I mean? Played Sunday anyway. I think whether he was his wife was having a baby or not, I don't think this is the game for him anyway. I think this is a game where we shore things up, make sure that we get him back to the Emirates and beat them from there. So I think that it's another chance for Ceballos to have a go. But, glad to see Guendouzi as he's back in the squad for this game here. So I think there'll be a lot of rotation. I think Maitland-Niles will probably come into it today, trying to keep as many players fresh as we can. I think that I think that Aubameyang. Do you really think he'll play Aubameyang? I don't know. I think that maybe Lacazette will definitely come back in this game here. I think that maybe Aubameyang might be on the bench in this game. I think this game's a game where I'd look at it. I'd take a 0-0 or 1-1 sort of score line and get them back to the Emirates. Go and beat Everton, and then do the job at the Emirates. That's how I see that we could do this. But they're changing their routine, and aren't they, Kev? They're staying over the night this time. Did you ever do that, or did you always come back the night before, the night after the game?
The night of the game.
Yeah, because
it all depended, to be honest. Sometimes we stayed over, and sometimes we came straight back. So it was just a matter of what George Graham was adding his head at the time. So
so they're experimenting
sometimes it's better to stop over so you get a rest, and then you could just travel the next day.
Yeah, so they're trying something different there. I was no problem with that, because Arsene Wenger done it this way. It doesn't mean to say it's the right way, does it? So I think that it's good that he's trying to change things up. And I see us. Listen, we should beat Olympiacos over 2 legs, and I think that's where everybody goes a little bit mad about things. It is over 2 legs. Martinelli has obviously got to come back in at some stage, whether it be against Everton or on Thursday. So I think there'd be definitely a few players coming. I would like to see Maitland-Niles start. I think Tobias deserves another chance. I think that he needs 2 or 3 games. I think Martinelli to come back. I think we look to hit him on the break. So I don't know whether it'd be Lacazette holding it up and then Martinelli and Aubameyang off of that. But for me, also I still want us doing well in the Premier League. I don't want us in 10th and all that. I want us getting up there as high as possible. I know that this is all about getting into the Champions League, but I want to see us starting. 7 wins is not good enough for Arsenal, Dan. You know what I mean? I want to see us, in the next 2 or 3 games, winning and starting to move up that table. And for me, it is a big game because Everton are above us, and we've got to get above them. And if we're going to kick on in this, listen, I watched the game on Monday night. Chelsea looked vulnerable. They looked vulnerable. I wasn't that impressed with them. They didn't. They run out of ideas until Giroud come on, in my opinion. So I think that they've got Spurs this week. Points are going to be dropped by one of them. So this is a massive game, Sunday.
As well. Son's out for the season now.
Yeah, it's great news.
It's great, isn't it? Kane and Son both out. What a shame.
I had to wait for one of you guys to go first. Of course, it was Son who injured Andre Gomez in the game against Spurs. So obviously, I think that's gone down quite well with Everton fans. Seeing it's almost like poetic that Gomez has returned to fitness just as this has happened. So obviously, Everton Twitter's been enjoying that a little bit too much.
Arsenal Twitter's been enjoying it a lot as well, mate. Trust me.
Arsenal
Lee
Twitter.
Judges is enjoying it.
Mark bloody loved it. I'll tell you, like that, mate. So it's the lucky glasses, you know what I mean? I wish it on him, like that, mate. There you go.
What are they going to do now?
I don't know, like that. We'll have to start thinking of something else now, like that. But song out for the season. That was I'll tell you, that was music. Music to my ears, that was.
Good little player as well, wasn't he, unfortunately.
Really, I just don't like him.
Absolutely. James, what do you think of coming to the Emirates? What do you make of Arsenal's season? It's been pretty poor as far as we're concerned. But from an Everton fan base, what do you think of Arsenal? Coming to the Emirates, is it easy? Do you expect to win? Is it a walkover?
It's not easy at all. I mean, I know Arsenal have their weak points and they can be exploited, but Everton have always had an absolutely wretched record away from home against top 6 sides. It goes back to Man United in 2014, I think, when we last beat a top 6 team away from home. It's a record that Ancelotti is going to have to break at some stage, and I'm confident that he will. Whether it'll be against Arsenal, I'm not too sure. But of course, we've got Spurs later down the line away from home this season as well. I think Chelsea as well. So there's a couple of opportunities to break that. But that's got to be the ambition before the season's through, to win one of those away games against the top 6 side and really make a statement that we're not going to roll over in those games the way we have done up for about a decade now at least.
Yeah, I always like asking that question because we get frustrated as Arsenal fans. But
we're not top 6 at the moment, though, so let's be worried about it.
Well,
exactly. That's a good point. That is a good point, to be fair. That is a good point.
No, but it's the stature, Lee. It's the stature of
the stature.
That's what James is talking about.
The occasion gets to us sometimes, and I think maybe having the calming influence of Ancelotti once again might just maybe calm the players down. But I think the main issue is just it's a mental issue because, I mean, without traumatizing you guys too much, of course, I remember Palace going to the Emirates and beating you guys last season. We've seen teams like probably, I'm not sure, but the likes of Burnley, Newcastle, sides that have probably got less quality than we have, going to the Emirates and getting a win. But we seem to be unable to do it. It's not just Arsenal, it's Chelsea, Spurs, Liverpool, dare I say it. I mean, I can't remember who scored the last time we beat Liverpool at Anfield. Who was that, Kev?
No idea, mate. So long ago. The memory's going, mate.
But literally, that's exactly what we're talking about. We're talking nearly 2 decades of waiting to beat the neighbours on their patch, and it goes for like Manchester United. It took us 20 years to end a run like that against them in 2014.
Wow.
Like I say, we haven't beaten a top 6 team away since. So it's a record we really need to end as soon as we can. And hopefully we can start this weekend. But I'm not counting my chickens.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not. And James, just finally, if you could pick an Arsenal player to put straight into the Everton side, who would you go for?
Now, this is very interesting because I wouldn't say he's the best player in the Arsenal team, but obviously I'd like us to build a solid side, and we're quite solid in some areas. One area where I think we're quite weak at the moment is centre midfield, and I love Lucas Torreira. I think he'd be a brilliant addition to our midfield. I thought Idrissa Gana Gueye left us to go to Paris in the summer,
great
and
player.
we really miss him. And I think Idrissa Gueye was expected to go the summer before that to Paris. And at that time, I think you guys signed Torreira, and we were linked with him as a possible Ghana replacement. And I think that would have been great business at the time. And in hindsight, I probably regret that we didn't do that. So he's a really good player, and I thought he's were a lot worse for it not having him in that team, especially when Newcastle were getting on top of you in that game on Sunday. But yeah, he's a really combative player. He's the kind of player who Everton fans would love. And he'd certainly be a great addition to our midfield alongside Andre Gomez. That could be a great pair in that.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I'm going to put a donation question up from Vishnu. Thank you for your kind donation. Hello from India. Yes, it's not just cricket that we follow. Great to see Kev on the show. Huge fan of the podcast. Forever a Gooner. Vishnu, thank you very, very much. Kevin, we might as well come off the back of that in terms of our midfield, because it has got better under Mikel Arteta. There was a bit of confusion under Unai Emery about where Lucas Torreira plays. What is our best midfield three, do you think, Kevin?
Well, this came up on the show, this question. And I've got to say that for me, the best three midfield players right now are Torreira, Xhaka, with Ozil in front. They're the ones with the shirt, and possession is 9/10 of the law. So they're the ones with the shirt. Torreira didn't play against Newcastle, and Ceballos did. And I thought, first half, Ceballos took a bit of time getting used to it. But second half, after the adjustment, I thought he was outstanding. He was getting the ball through to Ozil in that pocket, and Ozil could start to probe. And, it's the best I've seen Ozil play for probably about 3 years, 2 or 3 years. So that is obviously a link up that they can do. So Ceballos is knocking at the door. Obviously, Guendouzi is a young player who has got good potential. But I have to stick with the tried and tested. Torreira, Xhaka and Ozil right now.
I think that's fair enough. Lee, is it interesting or is it not interesting that the last time I thought Ozil worked really well in midfield with someone was with Santi Cazorla, and then as soon as Dani Ceballos gets put in there, all of a sudden both of them play well together. What do you make of Dani Ceballos coming into this midfield, Lee?
I like Danny. I like him. I think that what has happened with Mesut Ozil, I've said it before, and when he gets in between the lines, he was getting in between the lines, and we had no one getting him the ball, feeding him the ball. So Ceballos has come in there a little bit like Cazorla, and he's feeding him through the lines, and it's helping. As we said on the show yesterday, Kev, we had this conversation, and for me, as much as I like Torreira, I think you've got to get Ceballos in it, particularly at home when teams. I don't really know if Everton will come there and defend. I hope that they do, and then Ceballos will be perfect for that role. What Kevin says, which is right, was when we lose the ball, sometimes teams can run through us a little bit, and that's where probably Ceballos is a little bit weaker, But for me, I just felt that's his first game back for a very, very long time. He looked very, very good. And if you're going to play Mesut Ozil, it's no good playing him and then not playing to his strengths. And I think that someone like Ceballos was complemented what Ozil does well, and it's not surprising then that Ozil played really well in that role. Now, when he's played with Xhaka and Torreira, there's a little bit too many square balls, and we've not been getting Ozil into those positions. So with Ceballos in there, I feel that we can get him into those positions. So that's why I would go with Ceballos. It's not saying that I'm right and Kevin's wrong. I'm just saying that it's the way that it is, So Ceballos for me, I think.
You watch it.
I think It's all right. We're miles away from each other. I can say what I like. So like I think that it could be even worth seeing Ceballos and Torreira at some stage as well, like in that role. You know what I mean? But as we said yesterday, Kev, didn't we? That Xhaka is doing a good job at the moment. A great turnaround by him, by the way. So that's the way I would go. But like I do concur with what Kevin says, that sometimes if you're going to play that against the better sides, we could get found out defensively. So that is my problem with it.
Yeah, definitely. And James, finally, what do you make of Mikel Arteta? Because obviously he was a great player for Everton, went to Man City and learnt the trade off Pep Guardiola, and in our opinion has come, and we have seen improvement, because we were dead and buried in the league under Unai Emery and we really needed a lift. What did you make of the appointment? Did you think it was a strange appointment for Arsenal, and what have you made of him?
Yeah, I do think it was strange. I mean, he has no experience at Premier League level coming into Arsenal. I mean, we're talking an established, maybe like I say, not this season, but top 6 club. You'd think you'd go for somebody with a bit more of a track record, if you like an Ancelotti or an Allegri, like you mentioned. But obviously he's got a connection to the club from the past, and I think he was generally well liked as a player at Arsenal, I'm presuming,
Yeah.
So in that sense, it does really, I think you mentioned, like similar to Duncan Ferguson, it sort of won the fans over, and I think it buys him a bit more time to get things right than perhaps a manager with no connections like Unai Emery, perhaps.
Yeah, look, I've been a fan of Mikel Arteta. I've liked what he said. I've liked what he's done. And now we're starting to see what Arsenal we're going to see after this Dubai trip, because we've seen a 4-0 win. We need to now go on a run now. Kevin, we're going to go for score predictions, mate. What is your score prediction for Sunday?
My score prediction, I've said this earlier on today when I was doing something. I said that Arsenal have to win this game more than Everton.
Yep.
And Arsenal at home, so the onus is on Arsenal. And I just think Arsenal are going to win the game 2-1. I've got a feeling Arsenal are going to win it 2-1. I know part of it is because Everton's record at the Emirates isn't great. And part of it is Arsenal need to go on a run now. If they've got any designs of going into the Champions League through the league, they've got to win the next 2 or 3 games. So I think the need is more for Arsenal. So I'm going for a 2-1 win for Arsenal.
2-1 win to the Arsenal. Lee Judges, what are you going for?
Well, Lee Farrell's gone for what I've gone. Like I've got a feeling it's going to be a high-scoring game. I just think I'm with Kev. Nothing against Everton for that fault of it. I just think that being at home gives Arsenal the advantage. If it was away from home, I'd probably say that Everton would be the slight favourites. So I think that home advantage. I also think they must have got some confidence off the back of that game against Newcastle. I really do. Be interesting again what the team sheet will be if Ozil comes back in. And I also think it's very, very difficult because we don't really know what sort of game we're going to get tomorrow. What's it going to do? Take a bit out of us and all that. But I just think that we just have a little bit too much. I do agree with what we said earlier on, that if Ancelotti goes for the more attacking options, I think that they can get out our back four, and they've got the players to do it. Richarlison, a very, very dangerous player. And so I think that they'll get a couple of goals, but I think Arsenal just have enough just to get through this one.
Fair enough. James, prediction, mate. What do you reckon? Are you going to be optimistic as an Everton fan?
Yeah, I am. I mean, maybe not completely optimistic, but I think probably more optimistic than anybody as a neutral. Really, I'm going to go with 3-3.
Wow.
So, Lee says high
scoring,
and I agree with him. I think it's going to be that kind of game. I think both sides want to win. They're going to attack. I think your attack's better than your defence. We don't keep many clean sheets despite the improvements. So I think it all seems to be coming together for a nice high-scoring game. So I'll go for a 3-3 draw.
Mate, that's great. Another kind donation from Michael. Thank you for the quality pod, gents. Keep it up. Michael, thank you very much. And thank you for watching and donating to the podcast.
Oh,
I'm going to go for my...
cheeseburger. That is
that's a cheeseburger, Lee. We are so lucky. We're going to get a milkshake tonight, I reckon. I'm going to go for my score prediction, and it isn't going to be as optimistic as the boys. Arteta is a great artist. He loves drawing. So I'm going to go for 2-2. I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. I again think there's going to be some goals in it. I just don't think we're going to nick it, unfortunately, because I do think that we are... A lot of fans have been optimistic, but maybe are underestimating how good Everton have been. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw, which I don't think will be a shocking result, if I'm honest. I agree with Kev. We do need to win this game, yes, but Everton are a good side. You've only got to look at that form table under Ancelotti to know what he's been doing there. So I am going to go for 2-2. Before we do wrap this up and start coming to an end, I've got a couple of questions I just want to ask Kev in relation to Everton and Arsenal, if I may. Kev, your favourite ever Everton goal? Please, mate. What was your favourite ever Everton goal?
Ask Kev that myself.
So. Oh, sorry, James. Have I stole your thunder, mate?
James,
no, you'd have not. You're just asking the very same
James,
question.
ask it. Go on, ask it.
Go on, James. Ask it, James.
What's your greatest Everton goal, Kev?
my greatest goal or my favourite goal is a difference.
Favourite. I know what this is going to be anyway.
Well,
favourite and greatest. Come on, favourite.
Yeah, both. Go on, do both.
20 years. It's 20 years in the making at Anfield. That was my favourite goal. Wasn't my greatest Everton goal. That was my favourite goal. Because seeing Evertonians in the Kop made a massive difference to me.
I can still recall the footage of people jumping up behind the horns and that. I mean, it says a lot that I was 3 years old then.
3 years old.
That was my favourite goal. My best goal, I think, was against Leeds at home.
Yeah. As I said that, mate. The one you bent in the top corner.
Yeah, cut inside and bent in the top
Loved
corner.
it.
So I think that was that was my best goal.
4-4, that wasn't it?
Yeah.
We got a late goal.
Yeah, crazy it was. Davey Weir scored a late on.
Yeah, it was a great game. Hopefully, I'm thinking we're going to get something similar at the Emirates on Sunday. So fingers crossed.
Imagine that.
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Imagine that. And Kevin, seeing as it is an Arsenal podcast, your favourite ever Arsenal goal? Same question, but for Arsenal, mate.
My favourite Arsenal goal was against Nottingham Forest. My first goal in front of North Bank. You know, they sing "You Never Beat Des Walker." Could you remember that?
Yeah, Des Walker.
Beat Des Walker and put it in, and that was fantastic for me. Right in front of North Bank where I used to stand. So it was great. That's my favourite Arsenal goal.
Can't beat that, can you? Can't beat that.
Oh, absolutely. And the other one I had was the best, your best ever player you played with at Arsenal.
Best player I've played with at Arsenal. That there's Tony Adams is obviously up there, but I've got to go Dave Rocastle. You know, Dave Rocastle was
bless him.
We called him the South London Brazilian, and you know George Graham in training had to restrict him in training. So where everybody else could be all in, he restricted Dave Rocastle to 2 touch in the defensive third and the midfield third. He could only play all in the final third. So he wanted him to shift the ball because nobody could get the ball off him. He was that good. You know, he was an amazing player. Amazing guy as well.
Very, very underrated player. I know you and Lee were talking about potential statues, a Righty and Rocky statue outside the Emirates. Oh, man, I'd love to see that. I really would love to see it, to be honest. James, is there anything else you wanted to ask Kev in relation to Everton, mate?
Just one thing, of course, we're in a bit of a resurgence at the moment, and there is the outside sort of talk of the Champions League. I think just before you left in 2005, we were in that race for the top 4. What was it like being in that dressing room in that sort of 2004-05 season where we sort of shocked everybody and were in the top 4 for almost like the entire season? How was it feel? And I know you left in the January, but how was it feel in the run up to that?
No, I think the feeling was building over the years under David Moyes, and you know the team started to take shape. We had a really good pre-season, and you know, we were very confident. We were very confident going into those games. You know, the club had been spending money, bringing in different players, and we were upwardly mobile as a football club. And, there ain't many years back then where you could say the club kept players and invested the money wisely and strengthened. So it was excellent being part of that. Obviously, I went to West Brom in the January window, but you could see what David Moyes and the football club wanted to do. You could see that the type of players they were bringing in, and a lot of the youngsters like your Leon Osmonds and Tony Hibbert, they were starting to be more prominent in the games as well, which was good. It's always nice to have an influx of homegrown players in the first team because it just keeps everybody nice and grounded. So yeah, it was excellent.
It really was. And I think the other thing that was worth asking was when, of course, Wayne Rooney left, didn't he? So, of course, we did actually sell someone in that respect. And you left in early January. If you'd have stuck around for a couple more weeks, you'd have played with a certain Mikel Arteta.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right,
Wow.
I would have. But needs must. David Moyes came out and said, we don't need to sell. The club needed to sell Wayne Rooney to balance books.
Yeah.
That's just the bottom line. I think most of the Evertonians know that anyway.
Yeah.
And obviously it was a bit of a sore spot when Wayne left. But he's always been a Blue, that he came back and he served Everton well, which was great. But the likes of myself, under David Moyes at the time, I weren't playing football. I wasn't playing, so I needed to go somewhere and play. I didn't just want to sit around at Everton and pick my money up and, just go through the motions. That ain't me. I wanted to get a challenge. And
you did it all right, I think.
Challenge.
Any West Brom fans from that season will remember you very fondly. I think you kept them up on the final day.
Yeah, we stayed up. That was there's not many teams who could do something for the first time in the Premier League, and that was kind of our mantra when we went to West Bromwich Albion. We could be the first team to ever be bottom at the turn of the year and at Christmas, and stay up. And we managed to do it on the last day, which was fantastic. That's my greatest achievement in football, by the way.
Wow.
That one.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I beg to differ. I think putting one in the net at Anfield's the best thing for me, but
James, where do you think Everton will finish this year before we wrap up, mate?
6th.
You're going to go for 6th?
Yeah.
Man, listen, that would be a great season for you, wouldn't it?
Given where we were when Duncan Ferguson took over, I think it'd be a fantastic season. I'd say it's where we should be about, given where the investments we've made, and also given the fact that the likes of yourselves, Man United, Spurs have all had off seasons. Really, we should really have done more to take advantage of that, and we hadn't until recently. But yeah, I think 6th would be about right. I think the top 4's a bridge too far at the moment, even though there are people daring to dream in the fan base.
Of course you are. Yeah, that happens, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. What about Arsenal?
Oh, well, that's my next question. I'm going to go to Lee with it. If Everton are going to come 6th, Lee, are we going to come 5th or 4th?
I don't know if Claude's still in the chat, is he? Because he'll be slagging me off if I say 4th, So, listen, I think 5th or 6th, I think is where we'll probably end up as well, in and around that. I don't see as I say, it really depends on what happens in the next. We've got to win our next 3 games to be even thinking about that line. If we can do that, then who knows? But there's still, like when you say we're going to get 5th and 6th and that, there's still teams like Wolves. I've been very, very impressed with them this season. Sheffield United just keep turning out results. So whatever way you look at it, it's going to be tough. So listen, if we get 6, I wouldn't be happy with that. But I think that's where we are this year. I think we were so poor in the beginning that, as I say, 7 wins this season is not good enough. If we can, I think the one thing about Everton and Arsenal is that what I believe now is I believe that both teams can go unbeaten for 5, 6, 7, 8 games. Where I felt at the beginning, before the new managers
could lose 5 or 6, 7 in a row.
Yeah. So who knows? I think that both teams will be building for next season, and I think that if Arsenal comes 6th next season, we'll be very disappointed. And probably Everton will be feeling the same. So I think it's a big summer for both clubs, and I wish Everton all the success in that they get. I really do. I've got nothing against Everton whatsoever. So
likewise, I've got nothing against Everton at all. And Kevin, likewise with you, mate. Where are Arsenal going to finish, and where are Everton going to finish? Do you think?
I think Everton are going to finish 7th, 6th or 7th. I'm not sure which one, but I think it's going to be between those two. And if they could qualify for the Europa, which I think 6th and 7th might do this season, it will be a great season for Everton. That will be
getting back into Europe. The most important thing is to get back into Europe by hook or by crook.
Yeah, I think so, because the club has to start evolving again, getting up to those levels, and you're only going to do that by qualifying for Europe. And obviously under Ancelotti, then he could start building and bringing players in who are used to playing in Europe, etc. So I think that's key for Everton. I think for Arsenal, I'm in a bit of a dilemma with Arsenal, because if Arsenal ain't going to finish in the top 5, I don't want Arsenal to finish. It's weird. I don't want Arsenal to finish in the Europa, because you can't build. Arsenal can't build properly. Arteta can't build if you've constantly got midweek games in the Europa.
Thank you, Kevin. I've been saying this.
Liverpool missed out 1 year, and that really helped them galvanise their squad. Chelsea missed out 1 year, really helped them galvanise their squad. I think it stretches the squad a bit too much if Arsenal, and it'll be the 3rd year in the Europa League or 4th year, it's probably a bit too much. We need a year out. Let's get players in. Let's get in coaching. Let's get the game Saturday to Saturday. And, you can build from there, because you can game plan. When you got midweek games and then a game on the weekend, you can't really game plan for teams.
Couldn't agree more.
It's difficult. So, look, I think Arsenal can make the top 5. I really do. But if they don't, it wouldn't. I'd be upset, but I wouldn't be crying if they finished 8th.
I'm with you. Listen, I said it on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and everyone said that, I was a bad fan and all this sort of stuff. I just want to see one game a week, start again, allow Arteta to rebuild. It's not done Leicester anything bad this season, has it? Like you say, Kev, Liverpool, Chelsea did it under Conte out of Europe. So let's start again and try and rebuild. And I'd like to see that. Yeah, it'll be financially, maybe it might sort us out, but I personally feel like that is what we now need under Mikel Arteta. I think we've got the right man, and I think with a summer and a transfer budget, I think that he'd be okay with one game a week to try and see what players of these he wants to move forward with, because we've got some young positive players in that side now, with the likes of Saka, who Claude's asked me to say, Lee, is apparently the new Ashley Cole, you've said.
Does he have a night off? Does he ever have a night off?
No.
No. He doesn't, does he?
We love you, Claude.
We love you, Claude. Love you, Claude. And the Martinellis and the Ganduzis and so on. So I think we've got a great positive thing. Guys, we are going to wrap up. Lee, as ever, mate, thank you so much for coming on, buddy.
Enjoyed that. Brilliant. Brilliant.
That was great fun. And I'll see you on Sunday for a beer, mate, or a half pint.
Half pint, yeah.
Half pint. James, mate, thank you so much for coming on, buddy, as an Everton fan. I do appreciate it. I know it's never easy coming on another fans podcast, but thank you very much, mate. How can people follow you on social media, mate?
Just drop us a follow on Twitter. It's at @jwharton_EFC. I'll leave the link in the description of this video as well. So be sure to give us a follow. And of course, Dan's going to be coming on my show on the Toffee Blues as well later on today. So that'll probably go up on Friday. So be sure to check that out as well. Check out the channel. Give us a follow on YouTube as well. And follow us on Twitter, because it's actually our biggest thing. We're a good news feed. We post a lot of Everton stuff if you want to keep yourselves posted. And of course, by all means, Kev, drop us a follow as well. Massive fans, of course. We're all from the sort of same generation.
You might just get a follow, mate.
What?
What did you say, might just get a follow, James. You might just.
Nothing wrong with that. I'll have a look with that. But yeah, I really enjoyed coming on the show, guys. It's been brilliant. And yeah, by all means, give the Toffee Blues a follow if you want to see more Everton stuff.
There we go. Please go and follow James and go and follow the Toffee Blues, all the Everton fans that are listening. James, thank you very much. And of course, Super Kevin Campbell, mate, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been brilliant to hear both sides from you as an Everton and Arsenal player. So thank you so much for coming on, mate.
Listen, Dan, it's always a pleasure coming on. Nice to meet you, James. And me old mucker, Lee Judges,
Hey.
Michael Caine.
I listen before I go off. We've got to plug our show for the Memory Lane one. We've been getting some fantastic reviews on that. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it. It's going back at the old days, and I watched it today. You know, what I mean, I'm not being biased, but it was really enjoyable.
I watched it as well. I loved it, mate. It was brilliant.
Yeah, it's loved it. So if you've not watched it, go back and go and watch it. It's well worth a watch. I'm not saying that we're not being biased.
Where did you get that photo?
Family.
Where did you get that photo?
Family, you know what I mean? Like you got.
Right.
I know a few of the Campbells now, don't I? See, this is what I'm saying. Like, you know.
I don't know if you've seen it, Dan. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
James, you talk about me with a fro.
Oh,
yeah.
The good old days.
Is that
the old days? Good old days. Yeah.
James, check it out. It's worth a watch. Going back to Kevin's old days at Ice. I really enjoyed that. It's probably and the review of the people what they've been saying has been fantastic. So so proud of that.
Really, really good. And please go and watch not just that, but all of them over on the Kevin Campbell show with Lee and Kevin, and keep up to date with it because it's great chemistry between you two as well. I must admit, I don't want to make your heads even more bigger, the pair of you, but you are great.
You can if you want. We're not shy, are we, Kev? We're not shy.
Oh, we love. Hey, listen, we take all criticism. If you got anything to criticize on, we'll take it on the chin. And if you got some praise, we'll appreciate it. You know what I mean? Any feedback is welcome.
Yeah, that's right.
Brilliant. Boys, it has been absolutely superb. I really appreciate you all for coming on. Please join us on the Same Old Arsenal on the Monday night, where we will be discussing, hopefully, the Olympiacos win and an Everton win. Sorry, James. Yeah, thank you all, boys, and we will see you next time. Cheers, guys. Up the Arsenal.
Cheers.
Danny Gunners.